part 2 of 11D notes, adding and subtracting rational expressions with unlike denominators. In the last video, we introduced how to do this process, so now we're looking at some different types of examples. So notice in part A, we have different denominators in our two fractions. In our first one, we have x minus 2, and in the second one, we have x plus 3. Now remember that those x's are not in common. You want to think of those as if they have parentheses around them. Alright, so what this is kind of like is if I gave you like 1/4 plus 1/3, and I were to ask you for the LCD, well 4 and 3 have nothing in common. So the LCD would just be 3 times 4, which is 12. Okay, and then you'd multiply the 1/4 by 3/3 and the 1/3 by 4/4. Well, this is actually very much the same thing. It's just instead of a number, we have an expression, a binomial of x minus 2 and x plus 3. Okay, so our LCD, since x minus 2 nor x plus 3 can factor, then our LCD is just going to be the two of them multiplied together. Okay, now, one thing I want to mention is when you get that, I do not want you to distribute this until the end. Okay, so I want you to write that in. Do not distribute until the end. Okay, and we kind of talked about that in the last video, but you'll see now in this one why we don't want to do that. Okay, so leave it as x minus 2 times x plus 3. Okay, so just like when we had the 3 and the 4, we want to multiply by the opposite factor. So when I have x minus 2, I want to multiply that x minus 2 fraction by the factor x plus 3 over x plus 3. And now notice again, I'm putting parentheses. And actually, I want to keep that x minus 2 in parentheses as well. Then, when I add the other fraction, x over x plus 3, that needs the x minus 2 factor. So I'm going to multiply that fraction by x minus 2 over x minus 2. Now typically I don't show this step, but I thought for this example that would kind of make things a little clearer for you. Okay, so now what you're going to do is I would make this one big fraction now because your denominators are now the same. So it's just x plus 3 times x minus 2. Or vice versa, it doesn't matter. But in the numerator now, I have that x times that x plus 3. And then plus x times x minus 2. So notice I put in green what I had to multiply the numerator by in order for the denominators to be the same. So now, and so typically I'll skip this step here, and I'll go straight to this step here, okay? So now I'm going to distribute, so x times x is x squared plus 3x, and then the next distribute would be plus x squared minus 2x. The denominator is just going to stay the same for now. And so now I want to combine like terms. So 1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. And then 3x minus 2x is 1x. And so in the denominator, I have x plus 3 times x minus 2. Now we want to factor out an x in the numerator, and we get 2x plus 1. Now, I told you not to factor the bottom because now you can see when I factor both the numerator and the denominator, they have nothing in common. Okay, so what I want to do is, now since I see nothing's in common, I want to go back and now I can distribute my denominator. Okay, so to get my final answer, I want to have things distributed. So now double distribute, and you get x squared minus 2x plus 3x, which is b plus 1x, and then 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And that will be the final answer. Okay? All right, for example B, we have the same thing. We have denominators of c plus 3. Remember, think of that as a binomial, and c plus 2. They're not the same, so then our LCD is going to be just c plus 3 times c plus 2. Now I'm going to go straight into the shortcut. Now, the 5 in the numerator of c plus 3 needs the c plus 2. So I'm going to put the c plus 2 with the 5. Now notice I have a subtraction, so I'm going to put that minus with the 3, and the 3 is over c plus 2, which needs the c plus 3 factor. So I'm going to multiply that one by c plus 3. So I like that. It kind of simplifies things, so you don't have to write quite as much. And now my denominator is just c plus 3 times c plus 2. Now we simplify. Distribute by c plus 10. Over here we're distributing a negative 3, so keep that in mind. And I get negative 3c minus 9. Again, keep that denominator factored. Okay? And then we have like terms, 5c minus 3c is 2c. Then 10 minus 9 is plus 1. Okay? Now, again, I told you not to distribute the denominator, but now you can see with 2c plus 1, 2c plus 1 does not factor. So it's not going to be able to cancel out with anything in the denominator. All right, so sometimes, like these past two examples, nothing will cancel, but a lot of times things will. So keep that at bottom factored until the end. So now to the end, I see that that numerator is not going to factor, so I'm going to go ahead and double distribute my denominator. Okay, so now we have c squared, and then I like to do this part in my head. You should be able to do this by now. The 2 and the 3, they're just going to add, so that's going to be plus 5c, and then the 2 and the 3 for the last term, that's multiplied to get 6. Okay? If you need to FOIL it all out to double distribute and everything, that's fine, but you should be to the point where you can get to that step. Okay? Alright, now for example 4. In example 3, the denominators did not factor. But now for example 4, notice that these denominators can factor. In the first one, the 4d plus 12, the 4 can factor out, making d plus 3. In the second one, the 5 can factor out, making 5 also times d plus 3. So now what you're looking for is if I have anything in common. They both have d plus 3 in common, so that way I don't have to mess with the d plus 3. But notice that the first one is missing a 5, and the second one is missing the 4. So the LCD are all the factors. So 4 times 5, and then the d plus 3, which they have in common. All right, so the first one, I have the 4, I have the d plus 3, but I'm missing the 5. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 5 by that first fraction numerator of d minus 1. Okay, then notice I am subtracting. So I need a minus here. And so in the second fraction, I have 5 and d plus 3, but I'm missing the 4. So I need to multiply that by 4, and then the d minus 2 needs to be in parentheses. And this is all divided by my LCD of 4 times 5. I'm okay with you saying 20 there, but leave the d plus 3, don't distribute. Okay? So now, let's simplify. So distribute the numerator, we get 5d minus 5, then a negative 4d, so that would become a plus 8. And then combine like terms. So 5d minus 4d is 1d. And then negative 5 plus 8 is positive 3. And now you can see that I have a d plus 3 in the numerator and a d plus 3 in the denominator. So those will cancel. There's nothing left in the top, so that's just going to be 1 over 20. Okay? All right, next example. Part B. This one's a little bit easier because the denominators neither can factor and neither have anything in common. So we have the k plus 3. So remember, think of that as a factor in parentheses, and then a separate k. So the LCD here is going to be k times k plus 3. All right? So in the first example, I have the k plus 3, but not the k. So I'm going to multiply that numerator of k times k. Minus, the second example has the k in the denominator, but not the k plus 3. So I need to multiply k plus 3 times k minus 4. Then the bottom would just be k times k plus 3. Okay? All right, so the first one would be k times k is k squared minus. Now, here's something that I want to point out to you. that minus, this whole thing, this k plus 3 times k minus 4, that when you factor, you're going to get a trinomial. And that negative is going to have to distribute to the whole trinomial. So what I would do when you're multiplying like this with the negative, I would leave the negative out front, but make sure put parentheses and then distribute your k plus 3 times k minus 4. So when you double distribute, you have the k squared, then the 3 and the negative 4 add or subtract to get negative 1, so that would be the b, negative 1k. And then the negative 3 and the negative 4 multiply to get negative 12. All right, and then that's still over k times k plus 3. So now notice that if I had just said minus and I had forgotten those parentheses, you would have had something that looks like that, which is incorrect, because that negative has to distribute to everything inside those parentheses. So now we have k squared minus k squared plus k plus 12 over k times k plus 3. Now notice the k squared and minus k squared will cancel, and I'm just left with k plus 12 in the numerator. Now since k plus 12 does not factor, I can go ahead and know that nothing's going to cancel, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute the k in the denominator, and this is my final answer. All right, last example, or last part for that example. So for C, we have the denominators of u minus 4, and then 16 minus u squared. U minus 4 does not factor, but 16 minus u squared is a difference of squares. Now notice that the number comes first, so when you do your difference of squares, the number has to come first. Now, we're looking for things that have common factors. Now notice that u minus 4 and 4 minus u are opposites of each other. So they're almost the same, just the opposite sign. So what I would do for this problem is instead of trying to change around the order, what I would do is, since I know that these are opposites, we did an example like this in 11C notes, is since think of the denominator in the second one as opposite, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the order of that denominator to make it u squared minus 16. That way you can have a u minus 4 times u plus 4. All right, so that these two would be now the same. But when you switch those, you have to switch that positive to a negative. Okay, we did that before. And then the numerator is just 16u. So now, so again, the reason for doing that is so that these could now be the same, and it would be a little bit simpler. Okay, so now the LCD for this problem, they have the u minus 4 in common. So the LCD is the u minus 4, and then the u plus 4 from the second fraction. All right, so the second fraction is good, but the first fraction is missing the u plus 4 factor. So I'm going to multiply. My numerator is u plus 4 already, so it's just going to get another u plus 4. Minus the 16u, that's okay. The bottom of that one isn't missing anything. So then the denominator is u minus 4 times u plus 4. Now we have to distribute and simplify. So u plus 4 times u plus 4. Again, all you have to do is say u squared. The middle term will be the 4's added, so 4 plus 4 is 8u. And the third term is going to be the 4's multiplied, so plus 16. Then minus that 16u. And now combine like terms. So notice I have a plus 8u and a minus 16u. So 8 minus 16 is negative 8. So we have u squared minus 8u plus 16 over u minus 4 times u plus 4. Now that we've simplified the numerator, we have a trinomial. That trinomial can factor. So we have c is 16. So what are factors of 16? That when they subtract, make negative 8. Well, negative 4 and negative 4. Okay, so that factors now into u minus 4 times u minus 4 over u minus 4 times u plus 4. So now 2 of the u minus 4's cancel, and I'm left with u minus 4 over u plus 4. All right, long problem, I know, but you can do it. We're going to save the last example for in class, so that is the final for the video notes for this section.